Oh man, damn it. So I don't have the opportunity to run a tech review channel because I'm just not big enough at this point on this platform, but I would love to be able to. Just because people send you free products as a result and consequence, and getting my hands on all that tech would be really great. So review units would be awesome. I envy the people that get to do that, but um I wanted to say that I just sent from the YouTube common line of reviews about the Sony Xperia on the grounds that all of these reviews of the Xperia all say what they do because the price to buy the latest version of it is quite high. I agree, it is quite high. That's why when I bought my Sony Xperia 1.5, I bought it through eBay. I bought a refurbished version of it. It was far cheaper, and I get to pat myself on the back for saving something that would have otherwise gone to the landfill and repurposing it. I love my phone. I have no intention of going to any other manufacturer at this point. I intend to stay with Sony. I will switch providers to one who will carry me with T-Mobile. I I don't like smartphones in general because the screens are too small. I prefer using a tablet for a lot of things, but I have to have a phone. And if I'm gonna have to have something, if it's gonna be that kind of like this is mandatory, there's just too much in this modern world. You can't really get by without having a personalized one, and that's for me. We do have a landline in the house, but um, we also have smartphones, and it's pretty essential that people be able to contact me for one reason or another. And so I need to have a phone of some kind, and if that's going to be the case and there's smartphones available, well then it might as well be one like this, one of this nature. So it's one of those things where it's like, so since I have to have a phone, I really like the freaking Sony phone over other phones, and everything. I like that the Walkman team is influencing the 7. I wish that they actually included the DAC from the Walkman as well, in the thing, but that would probably have problems in making that phone competitive with their other with their actual Walkman, which is I'm not talking about the old Walkman either. I'm talking about, this brand new one that has direct stream digital, and this one in particular is getting very high reviews by audiophiles. I'm talking about the DAC from the Sony NWWM1AM2, high resolution digital music player, playback black bundle with 3-year CPS enhanced protection playback. That's the one that I'm talking about, and that is a big, hefty, DAC and digital audio player that is very high quality, and it would blow the iPod's quality of sound out of the water. It's just it would be way better in terms of this output sound that you would get out of it, but it's $1,398 for this little thing, and it's got great reviews to say the least. It's just, you know, how much of an audiophile are you? You know, because I'm not. I just like music. I like music. It's true. I listen to lots of it and everything, but am I really like a absolute fanatic about sound quality? I don't know that I am. Although I do know a few things about my preferences for sound. I know that I'm not actually a big fan of the way things sound on vinyl. I mean, there are people that swear by it. I, on the other hand, would like my stuff to come through as undistorted as possible, crystal clear, in terms of sound. I don't want any distortion. I don't want that warm feeling that people swear by with vinyl. I want everything to come in, smooth and crystal clear. Like, I don't want any distortions. I want it as clear and pristine, unaltered as possible. I want it to sound as close to a perfect replication of what was recorded in the studio as possible. You know, like I I want that kind of thing. I don't want any sort of artifacts in the sound because of the fact that the technology, itself produces it, and free of those kinds of artifacts and alterations that happen to the sound because of the fact that it's coming from tech that is based on vinyl. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't want any of that kind of thing. I want very clear, you know. I also know that I've kind of become informed about the loudness wars and everything else, and I think that this kind of making everything equal kind of alterations, that's not how music sounds when you hear it in person, so why would you do that, It doesn't make sense to do that, if you watched a band play on the stage, that wouldn't happen, so why are we doing it in CDs and everything else? And but again, I want my sound to come in as free of any kind of artifacts as possible. So as digital, if that represents it and if it comes through very clear, concise, and everything. Although, I don't mind it coming through and one of these, interfaces, these analog interfaces. However, if somebody designed headphones that used optical sound and everything, and you had a DAC that did had a jack for optical, for those kinds of headphones, I would probably adopt.